congratulations for your nomination as chair. Well deserved. I feel a little funny that my back is to the people I'm speaking to. So I hope I look good from that angle. Good morning. I want to say it's a true honor to be here. I still believe that public service, when done right, is one of the loftier things a human being can do. And I have the utmost respect for what all of you here have chosen to take on. I will not turn around. None of you are getting rich off of this. At least that's the plan. It feels slightly poetic for me to be standing here today. It's a matter of public record that I was, and the Montecito Journal was, an early adopter of Laura Capps. And also, we, the Montecito Journal, were the first to endorse candidate, now Supervisor Roy Lee. So Roy, congratulations on being seated here today, and congratulations to the MJ for its president. And of course, congratulations to all of the supervisors, but particularly today to Supervisor Hartman, Supervisor Nelson, and Supervisor Lee for being sworn in as new and returning members of this very important body. Many people don't know what supervisors do, but much of what you do impacts the quality of our daily lives every day, which depends on the very important work of this board. I agreed to speak today, and I'm honored to have been asked because this swearing in somehow feels more important than any normal swearing in. We're at a moment when our governance, if not our republic, has never felt more precarious, at least not in my 40 short years on this earth. Did I say 40? Thereabouts. Consider the bizarre context in which this swearing in is taking place. Let's look at the mere 1 week that's passed since the dumpster fire that was 24 gave way to the dumpster fire of the first 24 hours of 2025. As Jerry Roberts said, quoting John McCain, who apparently oddly was quoting Chairman Mao, it's always darkest before it's pitch black. Suffice it to say, these are trying times, and as Betty Davis said in All About Eve, fasten your seatbelt, we're in for a bumpy ride. But I'm not here today to talk about bumpy rides. I'm here to talk about why local politics matters, has never been more important, and why many of the things that affect us most in our daily lives are under the purview of this board. I don't think it's an overstatement to say that we've never needed courageous leadership more than we do at this moment. And so the swearing in of 3 supervisors seems like the perfect forum to discuss what good leadership can and should look like. And has been stated here today by Anthony Rodriguez so beautifully and other members of the board, when we think of good leadership, we think of compassion, thinking outside the box, walking out of your algorithms, listening, valuing diverse perspectives. But for me, it involves some other key ingredients that I'd like to talk about today. First and foremost, I think good leadership provides hope. In fact, in the political arena, I think hope is tantamount to oxygen. It's no coincidence that 3 of our last 5 presidents made a hope, presidents of the United States, made hope a cornerstone of their campaigns. President Clinton famously campaigned as a man from hope. Barack Obama campaigned almost exclusively on hope. I think we all remember those famous Shepherd Ferry posters. But even the wording of MAGA contains a hopeful promise that America will once more be great. MAGA promises a bright future, albeit one that is steeped in the past. If there's anything the American electorate has repeatedly made clear, it's that hope is an essential ingredient of the American pie. Hope allows people to believe that there are better things to look forward to, that their participation and their existence matters, that there's something to hold on to and for, that the sun will come out tomorrow, as Annie likes to sing. People want to feel inspired and engaged, and most importantly, seen. They want to believe that you are their advocates, that you are offering them a future worth investing in. There are plenty of human wrecking balls on the American political landscape. The counterbalance is hope, so I think it's a great place to start. Another ingredient I think is important and so undervalued is what I think of as the lost art of compromise. Where did that go? How is it that we've somehow come to believe that we all have to agree on everything in order to work together? Or as linguist Deborah Tannen asked, when did the word compromise get compromised? When did the negative connotations of he was caught in a compromising position replace the positive connotations of they reached a compromise? After all, the U.S. Constitution was born out of one of the greatest exercises in political compromise ever on display. Amidst our current winner-take-all political landscape, I decided to look into when compromise became such a dirty word, because it certainly has not aged well. The word has been around for eons. It comes from Latin and French, and originally was a combination of com, meaning we, and promise, which meant promise to arbitrate. Quite literally, compromise was a mutual promise that each party agreed to give up something in order to create or achieve a greater good. At least that's what the word meant for centuries. The lauded statesman Henry Clay, known as the Great Compromiser, back when that was a compliment, was revered for his ability to broker compromise. Clay said all legislation, all government, all society is formed upon the principle of mutual concession, politeness, and courtesy. Upon these, everything is based. That's a pretty long haul from where we are today. The cultural anthropologist Margaret Mead said of compromise that we are a society which must be committed to a two-party system. We must be more committed to a two-party system than to either party. One must fight to death, not for your party to win, but for the right of the other party to be there too. I sometimes think about modern marriage, which of course is another institution that depends on compromise in similar ways. In our home, you could say we have a two-party system that mostly works. My husband and I have been married for 21 years. And not to air too much dirty laundry, but unlike the rest of you, I'm sure, there have been days in our marriage, rare though they are, when one or the other of us has not felt, shall we say, 100% in love. On the other hand, both of us are every day committed to the marriage. In the Margaret Mead way, we may sometimes disagree profoundly, even profanely, but we are equally committed to making a more perfect union and the compromising framers as the compromising framers of the Constitution once said. Foundational to compromise is, of course, debate, which is essential to working through problems. Debate even helps us understand our own positions better, especially when it's built on respectful disputation. If in our world there could be more verbal sparring not to win, but to arrive at greater truth and understanding, imagine the bridges we could build. I think it's important today to give credit here to this Board of Supervisors, which has already done a great job of modeling a commitment to talking through difficult issues. We've heard about some of them already today. The debate over taxation of cannabis is a fine example of a multi-hour, respectable deliberation on a contentious issue that happened. You've done the same repeatedly on housing, and recently, as you said just moments ago, you did so recently on the agricultural enterprise ordinance. I point this out because this is not true of many local governments where electeds simply announce their opinions and then vote with scant, if any, deliberations. So thank you for modeling for us the value of vigorous debate and for your commitment to compromise. Because extremes play a role in our society in framing issues, but compromise is where most of us in the vast middle can see ourselves reflected. The final ingredient of good leadership that I'd like to talk about today is what I call the unexpected value of inexperience. When Roy Lee announced he was running for the 1st District Supervisor seat, many questioned whether he was a seasoned enough politician to do the job, whether he knew the ins and outs of the county and had the necessary political chops to win and to serve as supervisor. I submit to you that it was precisely because Mr. Lee was not seen as a seasoned career politician that he is here today being sworn in, and yesterday, in fact. In many ways, I see this election as a rebuke of politics as usual. I think this moment calls for us all to try to get out of bed on a different side, to think outside the box, to question some of the things we've long taken for granted. I ask you, I urge you, to embrace what I call Supervisor Lee's invaluable inexperience, to which I particularly feel a kinship because when I took over the helm at the Montecito Journal, I had never run a local newspaper before, and you could say I was not qualified. But in many ways, I came to see my inexperience as a great advantage. In fact, I attribute some of our important successes, at least in part, to what I didn't know we couldn't do. Les, could you come up for a moment? To underline this point, I brought a prop. You want to hold it up for me for the audience? Prominently hung in our home is an iconic Mad magazine cover, which depicts Alfred E. Newman holding the branch of a tree with one hand while he blissfully swings from a swing that hangs off the very branch that he himself is holding, which, of course, is a physical impossibility. There's no caption to the illustration, but I always thought the caption should be, he doesn't know it can't be done, therefore it can. We constantly hear how government is not very nimble, how hard certain kinds of bills are to get through Congress. It's easy to give in to cynicism and momentum and the forces of political gravity, but I think Roy Lee will bring fresh air and ideas to the Board of Supervisors, and I hope everyone recognizes that as an asset. Just as I hope and trust that each of the previously sitting supervisors will thoughtfully and lovingly take him under your wing as he learns the well-tangled ropes of this vaunted institution, I hope too that you will allow him to take you under his. And I hope you will all occasionally embrace the spirit and the power of not knowing what can't be done. I challenge you to reach high, to know that you are only limited by the boundaries of your imagination, and to understand that to truly win, sometimes we have to risk losing. Santa Barbara's natural and human bounty is unparalleled. Thank you for working to make sure that this community we all love so much can be the beacon that can help lead us out of what sometimes feels like a very dark moment. We've got a great team to get us there. All we need is some imagination, some courage, and a spirit of compromise. Remember, it's not a dirty word. I think it's useful to remember the words of the Rolling Stones. You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you just might find that you get what you need. Good luck. I thank you for your service and for the privilege of speaking here today.